We finally have news on a brand new rugby game. Unfortunately, it's not Rugby League. Rugby 24 is planning to hit shelves later this year, but this is a good sign for Rugby League fans who have been crying out for a video game since mid-2017. Now, unfortunately, I still don't think we're going to be getting a Rugby League game for not even this year, next year. Honestly, we're probably more looking at 2027 than anything, but at least we're finally getting some good news. Now, Rugby 24 is being developed by Big Ant Studios and published by Nacon, I believe is how you pronounce it. They are a French video game company who acquired Big Ant in 2021, and Nacon is obviously a pretty big publisher. I think it's France's #1 video game publisher. They're a business worth over $100 million, and they have relied on Big Ant, who has really boosted them into the sports video game market, especially for countries like Australia. Obviously, they made AFL 23 last year, and they've gone on to make the last 2 cricket games, Cricket 22 and Cricket 24. And the bigger budget, because obviously Big Ant is now being owned and operated by such a large company, we have seen in recent years, especially with the cricket games, that they've been able to acquire licenses that we thought back in the days where Big Ant were developing Don Bradman cricket, where they couldn't even get the Australian team. Now we've got not just the Australian team, but we've got a fully licensed Ashes series, a fully licensed Big Bash League, Sheffield Shield teams, you name it, plus England, New Zealand, Ireland, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. There's even some IPL teams and some Indian players in the latest cricket games, which is absolutely huge. And it seems Big Ant and Nacon are doing that with this upcoming rugby game. Now, Nacon already had the license for a lot of the international rugby teams, as well as the top 14 in France. So I think it's likely that they'll be in Rugby 24, but this will be the first rugby game that is being made by Big Ant. Now, Big Ant didn't make the Rugby Challenge games, but obviously they've made the previous Rugby League Live games. And the new Rugby 24 trailer looks absolutely phenomenal. It's a trailer that I believe is pointing towards the English Premier League rugby competitions, but considering Big Ant is still an Australian publisher, because they've made the AFL games, they've made the cricket games, do not be surprised if we see the Super Rugby. Probably not going to see the Shoot Shield in there, but we're going to see more rugby teams from around, especially the Oceanic region. Obviously, it's not the newest game anymore, but it looks 1,000 times better than Rugby League Live 4, and it's coming to next-gen consoles. Nacon delayed Rugby 23 to allow Rugby 24 to come out thanks to Big Ant Studios. That's a huge change for Nacon, because Rugby Games has been one of their major sellers. If you're not familiar with other Nacon products, this includes the Taxi Simulator games, the World Rally Championship games, and the Tour de France games. Now, not the biggest fan of bike riding, but the reason why I may title this video something to do with Rugby League, because while we're getting Rugby 24, considering the recent history with Big Ant and with Rugby League games, and now the fact that True Blue have finally lost the license to the NRL and the Super League, as seen by the fact that the games are no longer for sale digitally, I think this is a very good sign that Big Ant and Nacon are going to continue their push into the Australian sporting market and can finally make us a Rugby League game. Now, it's not going to be coming anytime soon, but this is finally the best news we have heard for a while. Considering what they've done in the past, considering what Nacon and Big Ant are doing, I'll be shocked if they don't go for this license, and Nacon easily have the money to do it. Obviously, Rugby Union and Rugby League are very different games, and they'll make very different Rugby League games, but Big Ant have already know what it takes to make Rugby League games by making the most successful Rugby League video game series of all time in the Rugby League Live series. So don't be shocked if we hear some news. Now, I don't think we're getting it anytime soon. Obviously, once they get the license, then they'll probably start making the game, because there's no point making a game if you can't get the license. But I'll be very surprised if this doesn't happen. Rugby 24 does look great, but we all know what Australia wants, especially New South Wales and Queensland, and let's be honest, do the other states even matter? And I do think the NRL need to get this video game other way, because they're trying to grow the game as seen by the Vegas push. And how did everyone fall in love with 2K, Madden, soccer, It's because of the video games. That's why I just said 2K Madden instead of basketball and American football. That's how I first fell in love with those games. And I'm not saying Nacon and Big Ant are EA or 2K. That's simply not the case, because while they are a tremendous step up from what the Rugby Life series had in terms of a budget and resources, it's still nowhere near that. But just having something on the shelves where kids can play as their favorite heroes. The game came out when I was in year 10, and now I'm a loser with a uni degree. So get on an NRL. I do think this is the best news we have heard for some time. So ladies and gentlemen, Rugby 24 does look great. If you're not the biggest Union fan, then I know this video doesn't interest you in that regard. But I know if you're a subscriber of this channel, especially an old one, you are desperate for a new Rugby League game, and this is the closest thing that we have to news about it. I'm not saying it's coming anytime soon, guys. Get that around your head. Unfortunately, I wish I could tell you different. But what we do know is that everything is lining up for Nacon and Big Ant to finally get their hands on an NRL license. They've got the foundation in the rugby games. They've got the foundation from the Rugby Life series. So here's hoping we can get an announcement at least this year. That's all I'm hoping for, because I'm sick of using 150 plus NRL players who we need as a custom character, because that's how long the last bloody game is. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you agree, disagree with what I have to say. When do you think we'll be seeing a new Rugby League game? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Smash that like button, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.